Do you think this is more iconic than his role in Hook?
I think so.
I feel like people our age really like Hook a lot more. But this movie's so much better. Yeah.
And it's funny because Hook is Spielberg, who is inarguably a better filmmaker than Chris Columbus, the director of this.
Wow.
That's not a surprise to anyone.
Wow. Chris Columbus has directed 2 more Harry Potter movies than Spielberg.
Yeah, and if Spielberg had done one, it would have been better than those 2.
Actually,
I can't.
Spielberg was rumored to be directing the first Harry Potter movie.
Didn't he want to set it in America?
He was going to set it in America, and I think Macaulay Culkin was going to be... No, not Macaulay Culkin. Haley Joel Osment.
Oh, God.
And
I'll take my words back.
J.K. Rowling was like, no.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
So, inarguable, there's an argument.
Yeah, no. I might have just lost my own argument. Hello and welcome to The Critical Breakdown, the podcast where we start at the bottom of Rotten Tomatoes and work our way to 100% fresh. I'm Max.
And I'm Scott. And today we're talking Mrs. Doubtfire, rated 71% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Mrs. Euphegenia Doubtfire.
Euphegenia Doubtfire. Wonderful woman.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so...
I'd like to see a sequel that's Doubtfire's romance with the bus driver.
Yeah, I wouldn't, but...
I would.
I think there was rumors of a sequel at one point.
Yeah, when you Google Mrs. Doubtfire 2 is one of your autocomplete things. Yeah. I don't even want to click it. I don't want to entertain it.
No.
Maybe it's just Matthew Lawrence doing the same thing.
God, that would be something. Yeah. No, this movie is kind of a little bottle moment here in time where I don't think... I mean, it could have worked earlier in time, but I don't think after this, decade, this movie would have ever worked the way it works in this context.
Yeah, I don't think it could be filmed with the same innocence.
No. You'd have to do a different take on it, and we can spitball an idea later if we wanted to, but...
I mean, movies like this had been made before.
Yeah, like Tootsie. Yeah. So, I mean, the whole playing with gender as a concept is different now than it was.
You got to be careful, careful.
Yeah, there's just a lot more.
You have to be more conscious.
A lot more concepts and research, and
a lot more progression.
Yeah. But at the time, this was a comedy hit. Mm-hmm. So we'll get into that. But before that, what you been watching?
Well, I've been on a little TV.
Back to TV.
I'm all over the map because I watch some movies too, but I'm not going to talk about them.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine still good.
Still digging it?
It's not like my favorite sitcom or comedy, but it's hitting the spot.
It's like a solid show, basically.
Yeah, it's a solid show. I'm not going to recommend it to anyone like I recommend...
Is it in its 5th season or something now?
Yeah, I think it just started its 5th season.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not going to recommend it like I recommend The Office or Parks and Rec or Arrested Development, but it's fine. If you want to watch it, watch it. If not, you're not missing that much.
All right. That's a Scoot's take right there.
Rick and Morty just wrapped up its 3rd season. It was pretty good. A lot of people didn't like the finale or the season, apparently, but I liked it. I thought it was good. It's funny. It's a funny show.
I'll get around to watching it eventually.
Yeah. It's apparently today, as of recording, which is what's today, the 7th, 10/7, a lot of McDonald's are redoing
the
Szechuan sauce because of Rick and Morty. So, I mean, if you're listening, you missed it, but maybe you didn't.
Man, that's cool. The internet's weird.
Yeah.
The combination of internet and new media and social media. Yeah. And then you have McDonald's rolling back Szechuan sauce all of a sudden. So
yeah. I mean, Rick and Morty is one of those shows that on the internet, it's peak meme.
Yeah.
So
it's
yeah.
I don't mean this anyway and insulting because I use Reddit myself, but I feel like there's a huge Reddit base for it. There's a big 4chan base for it. I
can't confirm 4chan, but
so
I see people sharing stuff on.
What I mean
Facebook
by that is just internet savvy.
Yeah.
The folks who watch the show are obviously involved on the web.
Youngins.
Yeah. So, which we are of that generation, so I'm not judging. Oh. But hey, if you love Szechuan sauce, I hope you had a good weekend.
Yeah. The show is very good.
Yeah. I've watched one episode. I liked it. Yeah. It's just of all the things on my list, it's not near the top. So
that's totally fine, my man. Another thing that's at the top of my list is a new season start of Nathan For You, which is my favorite comedy on TV right now. And the first episode was hilarious. Just a really good show. If you know Nathan For You, you understand the concept, and
it's funny.
You know if it's for you or not.
Yeah.
But and if it is the kind of show you're gonna like, watch it.
I kind of enjoy, because what you've done is you just curate the episodes you think I should watch, and then you just make me watch them. And,
I've done that once, and I think it was like a year and a half ago.
Well, yeah, but you made me watch like 5 or 6 things in a row. So I just rather have that sometimes, where you just show up and like, you'll like this. Paul's done it too. So yeah, just
let me know and I'll hit you with some. It's funny.
It's always they're funny always. The soundproof box one.
Yeah, in the hotel.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a very funny.
That was good. So.
Yeah, and then I watched Blade Runner in preparation for a new release, which we might talk about.
What came out?
Battle of the Sexes.
Oh, okay. I wish
it did come out.
Oh, it did. Shit. Yeah, I gotta go see that.
It's been in theaters for a few weeks now.
Has it?
Yeah.
God.
There was okay, so spoilers, but we went and saw Blade Runner 2049, and there was a poster for Battle for the Sexes at the ticket booth.
I don't always
Battle of the Sexes.
I don't always look at the posters anymore.
Wow.
It's just like some posters just suck so bad that I just ignore them.
Hey, you're the same guy who doesn't like when people skip the TV intros. Posters is the same way.
Yeah, somebody got paid to make them. I guess that's right. But I don't know. If you look at Marvel's last year of posters, it's almost like nobody got paid to make them. So
though, there's a really cool Thor Ragnarok poster in like the theme of an old Japanese art. That's really cool.
I need to look that up.
Yeah,
I'll look at that poster.
Okay. There you go. You heard it here first, folks.
But no, what Scott's alluding to is Blade Runner 2049 came out.
Yeah, so I watched Blade Runner in prep, and Blade Runner's amazing. It always has been.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone, but it's good. We'll talk about 2049 in a bit. But first, what have you been watching, my dude?
We started watching a show on HBO called The Deuce.
Yeah, that's the James Franco, Maggie Gyllenhaal one, right?
Yeah, it's set in the late 70s. Kinda, yeah. I think that's the overall plot they're getting to, but and they've gotten there a little bit, but it's right now it's more about street life, old New York being like shitty.
I know you're a big fan of old shitty New York.
Yeah, I love old shitty New York. And then also a lot about prostitution, about how pimps and prostitutes work together, as well as the bar scene in this era of New York, and how all the communities meet. So you have your like legacy gangsters, your Italians, you have your black people, your white people, just like every single race, your Latinos.
A real melting pot.
Yeah, and then you have
charcuterie board,
like straights and gays and trans people interacting. It's an interesting mix, but it's from the same team that did The Wire, I believe.
Yep.
It's not. I haven't seen The Wire, so I can't speak to how much it's like it, but it's not like a straight on like criminal drug thing like The Wire was.
Yeah,
it's more
different material,
low level, like Vice. I know drugs are vice, but it's prostitution. So a lot of that. It's an interesting show so far. It's enjoyable to watch, but it hasn't like been hard hitting, like suck you in like some shows. But we're still coming back. We've watched about 4 episodes. So.
Is it a mini series, a standalone, or is it going to be like a multi-season?
I want to say for sure. Obviously, it's a whole season, but I want to say they've already said there's a second season. Okay. So it might be just a limited series. It might be mini series. I don't really know. No. But it's good.
Yeah, I've been interested in it.
Yeah,
I'm not the biggest James Franco fan, so it's a little tough for me to get in on that sometimes. But I've heard good things, and it seems interesting.
It might be hard for you because he plays 2 characters in the show. So
now I'm out.
And I thought it was kind of funny that
I'm more of a Dave Franco.
He's playing twins, but had they not been twins, had they just been brothers, they could have brought Dave in. But I kind of like that he's playing like a kind of shitty guy and then like a really shitty guy, so it plays to his strengths at least.
James Franco, like I like him in stuff, but the average James Franco thing, I feel like I'm like, nah.
This fits his wheelhouse also.
Like he's not Johnny Depp levels of avoidance for me. Yeah.
It's just when he's playing like a scientist, it's harder to buy.
Yeah.
Even in something that's good like Rise of the Planet of the Apes or whichever one he was in.
Yeah, it was Rise.
So sometimes that's like, okay, like I can buy it for the movie, but no.
Like he was good in 127 Hours. Like he's really good there. Yeah. And I'm sort of interested in The Disaster Artist, even though I'm not in on the cult of The Room. Like I just think it's a really shitty movie. I don't find the humor in it that much.
I've actually never seen it. I need to see it.
Yeah. We talked about maybe doing a special when The Disaster Artist comes out.
When does that come out?
November or something? I don't know.
Okay.
It's making an Oscar push.
It's crazy.
It's one of the front runners.
It'd be so weird to have like an Oscar winner movie based on one of the worst movies ever made.
It's based on a novel, though.
Oh, okay.
So The Disaster Artist is a book about the making of the
That's
room,
fair.
So.
You can separate it that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, we watched The Deuce.
Yeah.
I say if you're into kind of serious drama like that, that's still fun to watch. Give it a shot.
Yeah.
We also have a season 3 of a show we've been watching.
There he is.
Poldark is back.
Uncle Dad.
It's been back in the UK for a while, but they just got it on Masterpiece/BBC. Well, not BBC, but PBS. Yeah.
So when it comes out in the UK, can you get it like on Amazon and stuff? I know you could probably through illicit means find it.
You could find it through illicit means. I think there's only a couple of weeks delay. Okay. I don't think too many episodes had played already, but I mean, each season's like 7 or 8, maybe 13 episodes at most.
And I remember when Downton Abbey came out, that was such a cultural lightning rod that there was a lot of streaming and stuff like that. Poldark. I mean, you like it, I know, but it's not the same level of...
I just buy the seasons when they come out, when they're available on Amazon. Season Pass, it's like $20 and you get to keep them. So
yeah, no, I do that all the time with shows.
Yeah.
Though I've been thinking about it more and more. It's like I canceled cable. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm saving all this money and I never watch cable anymore. But now I'm just buying more and more seasons on Amazon of shows.
I don't think we buy too many. I think this is one of the few ones we actually purchase the whole season.
I've maybe bought like 5 this year.
Yeah.
5 whole seasons of shows. And I'm just like, should I just get cable again? I could just DVR it.
But I mean, 5 seasons, if that's like $20 to $30, it's still cheaper than a full year of cable.
Yeah, but then I'd get all the other stuff.
That's like a 2-month bill of cable. And that's being very generous on my part.
Yeah.
So...
It's just a thought, you know. It's a thought.
No, I get
with all these streaming services splintering off into their own.
There's so many now.
It's just going to be cable again.
Disney's
because you're going to have to buy like 9 streaming services to get what you want.
I was wondering who's going to be the first one to try and sell like an aggregate service that aggregates all of them, that somehow manages to do it not in a way like MoviePass where they piss everyone off, but in a almost like Amazon's doing the channels.
Yeah.
If they push that further, who's going to be the one who pitches
bundle
that?
It and
where
stuff.
It basically becomes cable and we get screwed over again in that sense of choice.
It basically already is cable again.
Kind of, but you can do a la carte.
There's more a la carte, but...
that's always been the big anti-cable debate, is you can't do a la carte, and they refuse to let people.
Well, it's because of like to pay the advertisers and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I get where they're coming from, but...
Netflix just announced they're raising their price again for U.S. subscribers, so... it just makes you really think. I mean, and all the Disney stuff's going to be leaving Amazon or Netflix soon, so it just really makes you think on how to spend that money. I could see Amazon seems like the big one because they're so far reaching already and they have the channels, but you need to have some type of bundle thing where it's like buy 8 channels from this list of 20 and it's a total of $40 instead of paying like $7 each or something.
Yeah. I mean, somebody's going to come out with something eventually.
But you'd still need to get all those people, all those different companies on board again. And the fact that they're already on their own streaming services.
Because, like, I've said before where I want to see the new Star Trek, but I'm not going to watch it until it's all done. And I could pay for less CBS All Access.
1 month. Yeah.
But if I could throw it on my Amazon for $1, $2, $5, I would actually consider it. But by itself...
$5 like a month?
Yeah.
So the CBS All Access is like $7 a month.
But that's with commercials. And then without commercials, it's like $13.
I didn't know that.
So it's just like, I can do that for Hulu because I have tons of shows I like to watch on Hulu. For
Hulu's
CBS,
another one
it's just
that could start to package stuff because like NBC and Fox and CBS, I think all have like stakes in Hulu.
Yeah.
So you already have a lot of the players there.
Yeah.
HBO
and I think
has a channel on Hulu.
Now that we talk about it, they've been experimenting a little bit with live TV themselves.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it, but they don't have it on all the devices that I want.
Yeah.
It's expensive still too.
Yeah.
It's tough, and there's still there's commercials. You can't do commercial free with it.
Yeah, I mean the thing is we pay for cable, and cable still has commercials. So it's I think it's a bitter pill we'll have to swallow eventually. Is paying for a service that advertises to you.
But I think now that
having the opt-out option.
I think people always paid for cable because there weren't like legitimate alternatives. Now there is, and people are dropping cable left and right. I mean, every month I feel like I read a new article that's like even less people than you thought are watching cable. Yeah. It's like kids don't even know what cable is.
They don't.
Anyways.
Guys, we have gotten on a big tangent here.
Well, it's relevant.
It is.
It's relevant and it's fresh.
Anyway, I'll just briefly talk my Poldark thoughts. Starts off pretty good, this new season. Each season kind of jumps ahead a little bit with the last plot threads. And this one does a good job with it. It doesn't go too far ahead, but there's a character who found out she's pregnant at the end of the last season, and she gives birth at the beginning of this season. Yeah. Nice. There's like still family drama. There's all sorts of high tension. It's good. Yeah. I enjoy it still. If you liked anything else with it, anybody who's watched it, you'll like this one, this season. So
Roger that.
Yeah. But that's the only other thing I've seen recently is Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about it, but we'll do that after old Doubtfire.
Yeah.
Just because we might get a little spoiler in that way. You don't have to try and fast forward.
Yeah.
You can just cut it off.
So right now, here don't be spoilers, but later, here will be spoilers.
Yeah, there be spoilers.
Yeah, there be spoilers.
But in the meantime, what's the plot synopsis for Mrs. Doubtfire?
After a bitter divorce, an actor disguises himself as a female housekeeper to spend time with his children, who are in the custody of his ex-wife.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the big Robin Williams films, right?
It's a pop culture moment for sure. Everyone knows it. People know the quotes, the hello that he does. Like, that's iconic. And it's just him saying hello with a cake face. Like,
it works.
It's wonderful.
Miss Helen? The water's boiling.
Hello! Ah! Oh, I'm sorry to frighten you, dear. I must look like a yeti in this get-up. This is my nightly meringue mask, part of my beauty regimen. What it is basically egg whites, creme fraiche, powdered sugar, vanilla, and a little touch of alum. There you go, dear. Oh, there you go. You've got your cream and your sugar now. It's a little cappuccino. 1 drop or 2. Would you like another one? Oh, there you go.
That scene grossed me out, though.
It's a pretty gross scene.
Like the stuff dropping off of his face into the coffee. Like, I was just not.
That was not planned. Apparently, the set lights were melting the icing,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
and it makes sense that it wouldn't be like a perfectly adhesive face mask.
Yeah, and then also, it's great that Robin Williams just rolls with the punches.
Yeah, that's what makes him so good.
Yeah.
Do you think this is more iconic than his role in Hook?
I think so.
I feel like people our age really like Hook a lot more, but this movie's so much better.
Yeah, and it's funny because Hook is Spielberg, who is inarguably a better filmmaker than Chris Columbus, the director of this.
Wow.
That's not a surprise to anyone.
Wow. Chris Columbus has directed 2 more Harry Potter movies than Spielberg.
Yeah, and if Spielberg had done one, it would have been better than those 2.
Actually,
I can't.
Spielberg was rumored to be directing the first Harry Potter movie.
Didn't he want to set it in America?
He was going to set it in America, and I think Macaulay Culkin was going to be... No, not Macaulay Culkin. Haley Joel Osment.
Oh, God.
And
I take my words back.
J.K. Rowling was like, no.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
So, inarguable, there's an argument.
Yeah, no. I might have just lost my own argument. But no, it is kind of funny that Spielberg is iconic and made a worse Robin Williams movie than this. But
but I mean, different circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, Spielberg knew a lot of his own flaws with that movie, like we said, where the effects don't stand up, they didn't have enough budget, stuff like that.
I can't remember, I'll have to go back and listen to our episode, but didn't Spielberg go on record saying he didn't like that one very much?
And then after Robin died, he revisited it and watched it and was I actually have a lot of affinity for this movie just because of my experiences.
Yeah.
And that also kind of holds up here, where this movie was great before, but after Robin passed and we lost him, this movie is almost more emotional overall. So
I mean, definitely. What else could we watched?
God, this is clear schedule, guys. This is a long list here. So we had a lot of choices this week, and it was honestly a hard thing. I think when we looked at our list, we highlighted about half the lists.
Yeah.
So we'll start out with Jurassic World.
Jurassic World, a lot of people have turned on Jurassic World, the online opinion. Mm-hmm. It's my favorite Jurassic blank movie.
Yeah, but I think you need to revisit the series eventually. I definitely
do. But Jurassic World was kind of boring, but the last 30 minutes are really good.
There's things I love about Jurassic World and there's things I hate about Jurassic World. But all in all, it's not the worst film I've ever seen.
No.
I think between 60 and 70 is a good range for it to be, personally.
Well, it's above that. It's at 71.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying it's
How about that?
It's within there, just barely. But Jurassic World is just kind of like a meta commentary on Jurassic Park at the same time. Whether or not it's intentional, I don't know. But it's kind of like the film is about making bigger and badder dinosaurs to make audiences more impressed, which is also the plot of the film.
Yeah.
And the commentary of the film. So it's a strange experience. Yeah.
Deep.
It's like I said, I don't even know if that's intentional, but there's an interpretation there.
Yeah.
And I think to me that makes it more enjoyable. But at the same time, there's a lot of stupid in the movie too. So
I know a lot of people, when Colin Trevorrow was announced to direct the episode 9, they were not excited after Jurassic World, and then he got the boot.
And they were more excited.
So, who's doing 9 again? Is it J.J. Abrams?
Yeah, J.J.'s back. Yeah.
Cool.
Next up, we got Crimson Peak.
Yeah, this is your boy Guillermo del Toro
with Tom Hiddleston and Jessica Chastain. So
and Mia Wachowski.
Yeah. Waka. Let's just cut that. Mia. That's with Mia. Yeah.
Yeah. From Lawless.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. It's on my list. I might watch it this month since it's kind of a spoopy movie.
Yeah, it looks a little too spooky for me.
Yeah.
Too spooky.
What's not too spooky is Beauty and the Beast, the live action one.
Yeah, I started watching this the other day. I got about 15 minutes in and I was like, I just don't think I can watch. And I love the cartoon.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites. But something about the tone, like, I don't know. The first 15 minutes are like 3 musical numbers in a row. And like, that's fine, but I just...
Yeah.
The whole thing felt a little too...
I'm just not interested.
Musically to me. I don't know.
Nothing about the trailers grabbed me.
No.
I'm just like, all right.
I also, I low-key don't think Emma Watson's all that talented, so...
I think she's an okay actress. I just don't want to see her sing.
Yeah.
Because it's all auto-tune anyway.
There you go.
Interstellar.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. It's one of my least favorite Christopher Nolan movies, but it's still a good movie. It has very good qualities, but it has big problems in my eyes that I think would have made it an interesting
one of my
discussion.
favorite
Yeah.
Chris Nolan's. So definitely some interesting talk there to have. Yeah. To me, it's definitely one of his more emotional films, I'll say. Yeah.
We didn't pick it, though, because we got another Noli coming up.
Yeah.
Noli, is that?
No.
Okay.
Never Let Me Go.
I watched this one pretty recently, actually. It's good.
Yeah.
It's like a British indie movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Dystopian kind of.
Yeah.
It's good. It's got a good young Andrew Garfield, Carey Mulligan, Keira Knightley, probably someone else.
Yeah, I feel like
there's
Dom
another...
Gleason's in it.
Dom Gleason is in it. You're right.
So
it's a good movie, though.
Yeah.
Good little movie.
Similar note, we had Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon Dynamite, I feel like sort of polarizing.
I have not seen it since it came out. It was super dumb when I watched it, but I laughed the entire time.
If the internet were like even bigger when Napoleon Dynamite came out, it would have been even memeier.
Yeah.
Like the internet was still a thing, but but it's very quotable. I still quote it sometimes. I like to just point out into the distance and say,
I think we actually both quoted it this week. Yeah. So, The Ring.
Saw this movie when I was like 10. That was a mistake. I was on a bus trip to Boston with my baseball team.
Those were the days.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was okay.
Have you seen the Japanese original?
I think so, yeah.
Korean? I'm not sure.
I've seen Ringu. And then I've also seen... there was like this whole wave of American horror films that were adaptations of Asian ones, and I've seen a couple of them, both sides.
Another Ring movie came out this year?
Rings.
Last year? Rings.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't good.
Yeah. Cold Mountain.
I love Cold Mountain, and I know you would like Cold Mountain.
Yeah, I'd like it.
It's exactly the kind of movie you'd like.
It's got like Nicole Kidman in a cowboy hat. Why wouldn't I watch it?
Renee Zellweger, though, that's the real show for me. I'm not even going to lie. She was smoking. It's a very good movie, though. Very good movie.
I'll catch it eventually. Is it streaming anywhere?
Maybe. I got the Blu-ray.
Phone Booth.
Colin Farrell, right?
Yeah. I think it's Joel Schumacher.
Okay.
Directing, maybe.
Forrest Gump.
Classic.
Yeah. I think it's weird that this one's so low. I remember when I saw that it was a 71% movie, I was reading a lot.
A lot of people didn't like how sentimental it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I love how sentimental it is. It works for the movie.
I think it's one of those audience favored, critical, like...
Well, it won the Academy Award, though, still, so critics warmed up to it.
Yeah, but that's more than that's more than just the like print critics, you know. So
but it's a good movie.
Leon the Professional.
This is a cult classic. A lot of people. Luc Besson.
Yeah, one of Luke's better films for sure.
I haven't actually seen it. I'm a little weirded out by the like semi-romance of it.
Yeah. There's some weird stuff with that, man.
Yeah.
Let's just say we should be glad it's tempered and not as weird as it could be. Yeah. Probably how Luke wanted it to be weirder.
Yeah.
But no, it's some good performances in there too.
Yeah.
Father of the Bride.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. It's a classic.
Would you even call it a rom-com? I would. It's like kind of in the whatever vein Parenthood is in. It's like the same style.
It's like the family,
like a family drom-com.
Yeah, like a dramedy family.
Yeah. But it's a good movie. Steve Martin.
It's heartwarming.
Yeah, heartwarming.
Beowulf.
Yeah, this is Zemeckis again in that weird
CG
I want to do
land.
CG
Yeah.
everything.
This is Angelina Jolie pouring like gold liquid on herself at one point.
Yeah.
Y'all have seen the GIFs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure they're
I'll be looking
everywhere.
them up.
Yeah. So yeah, we had a lot of choices.
A lot of movies.
I'm glad we picked Mrs. Doubtfire just because I got to revisit it.
Yeah, it was good to. I hadn't seen it since I was a wee lad.
Wee lad, yeah. So it's also a heartwarming film. There's a lot of things that have not held over. Like, I mean, the relevance
material alone is going to make that a challenge.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it still. I think it's a good mixture of nostalgia, making it still like loved, and then also just appreciating Robin Williams' humor, and then also there's some good points in the story that work in the end.
Yeah, it's good bits.
But there's also like some issues with it that we both had spread throughout. So
right off the bat, one of the plot issues I find with it is they set up Sally Field as kind of a villain. Mm-hmm. They only make you see like how fun Robin Williams is as a dad.
Yeah.
And then she divorces him, and it's really hard to separate the idea that she's the bad guy from that. But then later in the film, they kind of show more and more that there's more to it.
And I think
if they had front loaded some of that like unveiling of their relationship and her thoughts, then you wouldn't think she's a villain.
Yeah, I think
I feel like the movie sort of needed it too.
I think putting it halfway, like we said, was kind of hard. I think they could have literally moved it to the beginning of that Act 2 section, where he finds out right away when he becomes Mrs. Doubtfire.
Sure.
Because you're absolutely right. Like half the movie is her being the bad guy.
Yeah. But she's not doing anything bad at all.
Literally, yeah. I mean, and when you think about what he's doing, he's, falsifying his identity. To spend time with his kids, which you could argue that the movie does. It's admirable, but it's also fucking crazy. So
yeah, it's nuts.
I mean, since he is the main character, since he's the driving force, like I get why you would start out with her being like, unrealistically antagonistic.
Yeah.
And then bring it in, but they should have just brought it in a little bit earlier. So.
And the movie basically has no conflict. Like, so you have to do that in order to make conflict.
Yeah.
If the whole time you understand where she's coming from.
It's because the conflicts are all small, too.
Yeah, they're all small, like personal things, but they don't, there's not like an I guess him trying to get back with his kids is your quote unquote conflict.
Conflict would be, like figuring out custody so he's in his kid's life. B, conflict would be like finding a job that works. And then C, conflict is Pierce Brosnan's character.
Yeah.
And they're all very minor is the thing. So you have to tie them together, which the movie does.
Yeah,
actually.
And that end scene, it does pretty good. It's interesting, though, because when you think about all the conflicts separately, I definitely think Robin Williams is in the wrong every time.
Yeah, it's like, great.
He's so selfish throughout. Like in that end sequence, it's like the longest sequence of the movie. It's like 20 minutes of at this restaurant where he's supposed to be Mrs. Doubtfire with his family while she's on a date with Pierce Brosnan, while he's supposed to be having an interview at the same restaurant for a job.
Yeah.
And rather than be like to either party, just be like, oh, I can't make it.
Yeah.
He just tries to do both, and it fails pretty gloriously.
And he attempts murder at one point in there, technically.
Yeah, he does, actually. Because Pierce Brosnan is allergic to peppers.
Yeah.
And so he just adds a ton of peppers to his meal.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I guess that's more manslaughter, but
Well, I would say that's more murder.
You can make an argument.
Knew about it.
Yeah.
That would be like what is it? Crime of passion, maybe.
Yeah.
But that doesn't excuse it.
We've already mentioned some of the cast. You have Sally Field in here, obviously Robin Williams, Pierce Brosnan. Some of your kids you might recognize. You have Matthew Lawrence.
Yeah, from Brotherly Love and from Boy Meets World.
And you have Mara Wilson,
Matilda.
And then she wasn't in too many things, but you have Lisa Jakub.
I don't know. But she wasn't in much else.
She had a small career in the 90s, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, she's in Independence Day. And if you've ever seen the short film George Lucas in Love, she plays George Lucas's sister in that.
Oh. Who plays George Lucas?
Honestly, I don't remember. But that's a stupid, funny movie.
I've never even heard of it.
Martin Hines. Yeah, so the other most recognizable person in this would probably be Harvey Fierstein. I don't know, is it Fierstein? We've mentioned him before on the podcast. He's the guy with the raspy voice. Yeah. Taylor told us who he was in one episode.
Was he in something else we watched?
I think so, but I don't remember what. So, this movie, I think it really does just kind of rely completely on Robin Williams' talent.
Yeah, most Robin Williams movies do.
Yeah.
I mean, like Hook relies completely on...
Yeah, his boyish charm.
Yeah, and this relies completely on his range, his comedic range, and his physical performance.
Yeah.
So,
no,
his
100%.
impressionism. But like, there's no movie that Robin Williams has been in, really, other than maybe some of his dramatic work where he could have plugged someone else in, but... Like in Good Will Hunting, he's amazing, and part of what adds to it is that it's Robin Williams, and that shouldn't really work to the movie's credit. I don't think the character should stand alone, and the character's great in Good Will Hunting, and like Dead Poets Society, same thing, but he's just good at them.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, he was a talent for sure. And it's one of those things a lot of comedians try to transition into drama, just as a lot of serious actors will try out comedy to see how they do. Yeah. And, you know, when it works out, it's great. And when it doesn't, it's like, okay, whatever. Like, you can give you one or two. It doesn't matter. But Robin was talented in both areas. So
yeah, I think we talked about it a good bit in the Hook episode. Or maybe the number 23. I don't remember. We've done a few of those.
Yeah. But there were also some people they tried out for this role that didn't get it in the end.
Which it's important to remember that if any of these people did get the role, it would have been a totally different movie.
Completely.
But who else was up for it?
Your best person was Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that's the closest fit.
It would have been a different feel, but it would have been the closest to this movie. Right off the bat, we go into the deep end there with Bryan Cranston was considered.
Was he even doing stuff in the early 90s?
He had been in Seinfeld by this point. He had been in smaller roles. That
would have been a big break for him, but it would have been a weird movie.
Yeah.
Maybe they would have really leaned into him being a creep.
Yeah, leaned into the psycho side of things. Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Probably would have been way more offensive than this movie is now, which there's a little bit here and there that's definitely offensive. Yeah. But I feel it would have been like vulgarly offensive with Mel Gibson for some reason.
I mean, he was like an A-list star at this point.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like he was doing weird shit.
It's just like his delivery, I feel, would have made the jokes not funny and just kind of like, okay, wow.
He's done comedy roles before, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Like, what was the one rom-com that he was in?
What Women Want?
Yeah, What Women Want.
I'm sure that movie's not offensive.
I don't know.
And then Harrison Ford was also considered.
Yeah, that I can't.
That might be the one I would pay for to see in a different world. Just because I don't think it would have been good.
Oh, no, for sure.
Imagine Harrison Ford in drag.
He's so glum.
Like, no. Yeah.
Like, he's too serious.
I think he could have handled the divorcing relationship part really well. Yeah. But beyond that, I don't know. It
might have felt too real.
Yeah, we all would have been just crying. Like, I think Dad hates us.
Yeah.
And then what would have been the dumbest but also like kind of a fitting option would have been Tim Allen.
Yeah, Tim Allen is interesting. He's done like transformation roles before with the Santa Claus.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a 90s kid classic.
Yeah, I would agree. But I just don't want to see that.
No, I mean, he's good. He's good. I mean, like in Galaxy Quest, he's great.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I like Tim Allen in a lot of things. And he does good voice work.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying he's bad by any means, but I just feel like it would have been
Tim Allen.
A gross movie instead of...
It's hard to picture what it would even look like because he doesn't have the accents and stuff. How do you do Tim Allen in drag and have him interact with his close family and still sway them?
I just think of his like Shaggy Dog movie he made where his face keeps morphing into the Shaggy Dog, and that's what I'm picturing. I don't
think about that. Yeah. I can avoid it. The Tom Hanks one would be the best.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he's just like... he's a lovable goof, kind of, you know.
Yeah.
Especially at this point, like Big is amazing. It's one of my favorite movies, and he kind of handles a transition there, sort of, because he doesn't play two different characters, but he kind of has a fish out of water thing.
That transition very well, because like he moved from pretty much like more goofy comedies,
Splash, Big,
into those romantic comedies that were goofy romantic comedies, kind of like your Matthew McConaughey, like a run there, but an 80s version of it.
Yeah.
And then from there he moved into like Philadelphia, like serious roles, but he still handles like kids movies, he still does serious films, and he still does like rom-coms.
Tom Hanks is the man.
He's everything, man.
I don't think it's fair for McConaughey to do that comparison, because when McConaughey was doing those rom-coms and stuff, he wasn't good. Like, they were bad movies.
By no means am I saying they're on the same level. I'm simply saying like early Tom Hanks's career is like early McConaughey career, basically. So just goofy movies that nobody would even think twice about. But then he went into like a good run and stayed
dramatics
there.
And, what's your favorite Tom Hanks movie?
God, you're gonna hit me with that question right now.
We're talking Tommy Hanks.
There's so many. I gotta look up a list.
Wow.
I can't just name one.
Catch Me If You Can. It's my favorite.
Never seen it. The Da Vinci Code.
There you go.
Not really.
First.
Yeah, I mean, I would say my favorite performances are, if I had to rank like three, would honestly be Saving Private Ryan, Forrest Gump, and then he's really good in Castaway, but I don't know if I'd pick that. Maybe Philadelphia, just because he's really good in that.
Sure. And so Saving Private Ryan's your favorite? Your number one?
I would say, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
No shame in that.
No.
Tom Hanks, when he smiles, always looks a little weird, though. Like, we're looking at his IMDb page now, and he looks like really sad smiling. Like he was just weeping, and then someone was like, "Smile for the camera, Tom."
That's kind of an interesting observation, since it's known now that Robin Williams suffered with depression his whole life, but always channeled that back into his comedy to make people feel good.
Yeah.
And I think he handles a lot of those emotional beats in this movie very well, where you can tell he's like kind of a broken man doing what he needs to in his head to make things right. But no, so I think Tom,
I didn't see that as much.
Well, I mean, not like
in my head, Robin Williams thought he was doing the right thing the whole time.
Well, yeah, but he's broken for sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's doing what he thinks is right, but he's also broken. Like, I mean, when you see a shitty apartment and it's just like covered in literal shit, basically, like old clothes, everything's bad. Like all that. I mean, he's in this like mode of desperation.
Yeah, so. He's desperate for sure.
What's interesting is Robin, he came up with this character when he was working with Andy Kaufman, the famous comedian. He would play his grandmother on stage and come out dressed like this, and he was playing Andy's grandmother in the bit, but he was basing it on his own like family history, I think. So he kind of had this concept for like a female, older female, and that got rolled into this production. And I think Chris Columbus and him, just like when they finally cast Robin in it, they like just hit a note together and just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. So
yeah, I didn't realize, but this is based on a novel apparently by Anna Fine.
Is it named the same thing?
I don't know. But so it's like you'd think like Robin Williams' performance, on the Andy Kaufman show or whatever, drove the making of this movie, but there was already like a planned movie, and then Robin Williams falls into place. It's just kind of a funny thing. Yeah.
It's so Mrs. Doubtfire, the book it's based on is called Madame Doubtfire, or alias Madame Doubtfire. So yeah, I've never even heard of this, but
heard of the movie.
Yeah, heard of the movie. Chris Columbus kept multiple cameras on Robin the whole time because of it was known that he's like an improv comedian. Yeah. So a lot of his performances are just off the cuff. And I think usually that works for every single director with Robin Williams, because you just want him to be there.
I feel like every Robin Williams is probably like that.
Yeah.
Because you just want to catch everything. You don't know when that perfect lightning in a bottle is going to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, it happens all over the place in this movie. I found myself laughing more than I thought I would. And I've seen this movie numerous times throughout my life. So
yeah, this was the first time I'd seen it since maybe I was 8 or 9 or something. And it's very good. Yeah. It did really good at the box office.
How'd it do?
It had a budget of $25 million, which feels right. You could even make this for cheaper because there's no like effects.
Like 2/3 of it takes place in their house.
Yeah, exactly. There's like 2 scenes, 2 sets that you need. Its domestic run was $219.2 million at an opening weekend of $20.5 million, which was number one ahead of Addams Family Values.
Nice. I do like that movie.
Which I know you like, yeah. Which one would you have seen?
Probably this.
There you go. You heard
Although, I don't know.
folks.
My parents might have wanted to see Addams Family because they like them a lot, too.
But they said, Max, you can pick.
I don't know. What was the worst movie out in 1993? I probably would have picked that. I was 8. I'd have been like, what's the shittiest movie we could see?
You think you'd say that?
Probably.
But yeah, I mean, that made a lot of money. It won an Oscar, too.
Did it? What for?
I don't know. I just saw it on the IMDb page a second while you were scrolling it, but I didn't write it down. So, best makeup.
That's fair.
Makes sense.
Yeah. We should have just guessed that.
Yeah. And then Robin Williams won a Golden Globe.
Nice. Best performance.
Yeah.
Comedy or musical.
Yep. Nailed it.
Yeah.
This movie's paced really well.
Yeah.
Like, I remember thinking, like, it never got to the point where I was sick of the Doubtfire bit, which would be easy to do. I mean, with Robin Williams doing it, it's very skilled and nuanced. But with any bit like that, it would be easy to get annoyed of it.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad I didn't.
Yeah. Same. I would say none of it ever got irritating. Actually, that's a really good point.
And they never did like the same jokes multiple times in a row.
And I think a lot of that is because like why it works is when he's playing Mrs. Doubtfire in front of the kids, he's serious. Like there's some in jokes for us, but he's talking to them like an actual role model and stuff like that. Yeah. And then when you see him by himself, that's when he's like back to Robin, working between things, back to Daniel. I think that's his name, Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel.
You know, that's when he burns his shirt. That's when he doesn't have the face mask. Like all that stuff is situational, goofy comedy.
And like he's sitting on the bus with his hairy legs and his legs uncrossed. And
the rest of it's like when he's in front of people, like when he's in front of his ex-wife, he has to make jokes for the audience only. The jokes aren't for them. So they're all having serious moments, like emotional moments. Yeah. So I think that actually made the bit work really, really well because it's more...
It's like multiple levels.
Multifaceted kind of. So that's a really good observation.
Thank you.
And then the things that work really well also beyond just like Robin Williams being amazing is... Like we said, eventually they do make it where you see Sally Field isn't a bad person. Yeah. She literally has this like long section where she talks about everything that he failed at. And she's talking to Mrs. Doubtfire, who she thinks is just another woman.
Yep.
And it's pretty emotional and it hits pretty strong. So I do wish they hit that earlier, like you said.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you realize he's realizing at the same time, oh wow, like I kind of was an asshole about a lot of stuff.
It turns her character from... Oh, well, like, she's being a bitch, you know, like, oh, of course she's going to date Pierce Brosnan now.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate her, too. Well, like, she kind of deserves this. Like, she did the right thing she's got to do for her kids, you know?
Yeah. And one really cool thing they did with Pierce Brosnan's character, which I also liked, was he looks like he's going to be a scumbag from the minute you meet him.
Yeah.
They have maybe... I mean, he's in it, like, 5 scenes, so like 5 big scenes throughout. There's little moments with him, but like for big interactions and stuff.
Yeah.
So when you first meet him, you think, oh, he's just going to like prey on this woman.
Yeah.
Because they're, of course, going to get back together in the end. They don't get back together.
Which is good.
And then, it's great. And then they show that Pierce Brosnan, they're like, one of his friends is like, aren't you a womanizer? He's like, I used to be, but people can change. He's like, yeah, but she has kids. And he's like, she has 3 wonderful children.
Yeah, she's
like I love them.
Kids,
yeah. And it's like,
I think the friend even says to him like, oh, she's got a lot of baggage though. He's like, no, the kids are great.
Yeah.
I love the kids, especially the little ones.
And it's like, it's a great moment because it shows that, he's not bad.
Yeah.
It's perfectly okay for Sally Field's character to pursue this and want happiness.
Yeah.
And then it puts it back on Daniel, who has to realize that's true. But he doesn't. He's resistant to it. Yeah.
He's just like a total asshole. Like
it's almost like the conflict is himself.
Yeah. It's 100% on him.
Yeah. So
like at the restaurant the whole time he's being a real dick to Mrs. Doubtfire's a real dick to Stu.
To everybody, kind of.
Yeah,
so,
to everybody, but especially to Stu. She tries to kill him.
There's a really weird joke where he's saying that his ex is all messed up downstairs with something.
Yeah, crabs, I believe.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow, man.
He's like, oh, it's good that you're still doing this even though she has, the crabs.
Yeah. It's funny. And there's a bunch of funny jokes like that where at one point Sally Field's character is asking Mrs. Doubtfire
what dress to wear.
What dress to wear. And also a little bit before that she was like, when did you move on from Mr. Doubtfire? never.
Yeah, never.
After your husband, you should never be with anyone.
Yeah.
Like jokes like that, they're just subtle, but they work really well.
Yeah, she's like, what dress should I wear? She does. He's like, neither. You look like a hussy.
Yeah. And what's great about that is if Mrs. Doubtfire was a real old woman who had this belief system, she might actually say that.
Yeah.
So it works on so many different levels.
Yeah, but we know why he's saying it because we know everything around it.
Exactly, yeah. So, but this movie does have some things that haven't held up as well.
Was it his brother, the makeup artist?
Yeah, his gay brother.
Yeah, his gay brother. That whole...
Some of it works really well for me and some of it doesn't.
Some of
it's like so hit or miss.
Funny, but it's also super stereotypical.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And it feels very backwards.
Yeah. No, I mean, half of those jokes wouldn't even be jokes now. Like, it would just be a character.
Well, but the character also would look totally different. Like, this character was, like, when homosexuality was still, like, a rumor.
It's like
almost.
the birdcage, basically, where I still laugh at the birdcage. I know some of those jokes are super offensive and they don't hold up as well, but I still can't help but laughing at it. And it's just because it's a movie I watched when I was a kid. And it's kind of that line of humor, very effeminate, very over the top.
Yeah.
The only joke that really...
I mean, he's like a makeup artist. Like, it's pretty on the nose.
When his kids discover he's Robin Williams instead of an actual old woman, they're like, "Who did this to you?"
Yeah.
This line made me laugh a lot. It's not that funny, but he said like Uncle Frank and Aunt Jack. And it was just like a stupid line that Robin Williams...
throwaway. I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that he can deliver that's funny, but it's not necessarily a funny joke. But those kind of jokes I was just laughing at, and I was like, oh. But Harvey Fierstein apparently... he had heard Robin Williams' impression of him before and thought it was the funniest thing in the world. So he like reached out and was like, I want to work with you in a movie. And then when he found out they needed a gay brother for the movie, he was like, put me in this movie. Like, I'll do it.
There you go.
So yeah, now that's the whole concept is the gay brother puts him in drag.
Yeah.
The funniest line with it was when he goes to his brother's house and it's like, I need you to make me a woman. And his brother's response is, something like finally, or you just made me so happy. Like it was just like a stupid throwaway line. And those are the ones that work best. The other lines where they're like based on it being, you know, a gay guy saying gay guy stuff, not that funny.
No.
But
there was only one scene with with him being a woman that really felt like backwards. It's when his son discovers him and like I can see how that would if I were a kid, that would freak me out, you know? And then when it turned out to be the dad, like they were all really happy. All the kids were. Well, they didn't tell the youngest.
Yeah, because she would blab.
But the two of them were very happy, and
it's a weird scene.
Yeah, and the son played by Matthew Lawrence.
Yeah,
he wouldn't hug him, and Robin was, oh no, like that's fine. I get it. It's a guy thing, like all this, and it's just like it builds this like fear that's okay.
It's eerily accurate, but it's also like not. Cool.
No, it's not.
Like
to say it so on the nose. It's not cool.
What's interesting also is when Daniel changes the numbers, the phone number on the ad, and then he starts calling in with fake applicants. He does like a German transvestite impression.
Yeah, I did. Those were pretty fast and furious. I didn't really listen to any of them. Honestly,
one of them he's just like doing a German accent. He's like, I'm great with children, but I refuse to work with the boys because it reminds me of when I used to be a boy. Something like that. Yeah. That's not the line, but it's something along those lines where you're just like, oh, okay. And she just hangs up immediately. Yeah. So it's kind of like already they set the tone that this is the worst thing. And then, you know, they have this court case where the judge is like, obviously you're deranged because you dress like a woman. He doesn't say that word for word, but it's part of the
final
implication.
Like, but I think it's more like you're deranged because you tricked your entire family.
Deranged because you're deranged.
Yeah. It's less about the
But I just can't help but think we joked around about if this movie was made now, one of the things he would do is have the Daniel character realize he actually is like, you know, trans and want to transition. And how if you played it the right way, it could be super funny and also heartwarming. And you could have almost the same beats at the end where instead of becoming a character, it's like she realizes, the kids still need their parent, even though their parent has changed. You could do something with that now. It would just have to be a lot more aware. It
would be super tricky to make
super
that
tricky,
movie. I feel like that's why we don't see a movie like that.
Yeah.
Like even those, what were the Eddie Murphy ones?
Oh, the Clumps.
Big Mama's House. No, that was Martin Lawrence.
That's Martin Lawrence, yeah.
But movies like that don't
see
even
lots
get made
of those,
anymore. So,
Well, you do have the show now, Transparent, which deals with like actual trans issues, and it's a lot more dramatic.
Yeah.
It's more like a drama with dark comedy moments, like, you know.
But it's like that's so tonally different from
completely.
these, so.
Yeah. If you had to remake Mrs. Doubtfire,
I wouldn't.
If you had to, who would you put as the Daniel character?
I mean, you have to have someone who can like dominate such a multifaceted role. Maybe like a Neil Patrick Harris.
That's interesting. That's a way different direction than...
Yeah, but it's like, how do you match like any Robin Williams movie? Yeah. Who do you plug in as the remake?
I'll push out Jodie's suggestion because I was like, you know, I would actually want to see what they could do with it. Her suggestion was Jack Black. I don't think it would be as good as this, but I could, just from seeing his Jumanji, that first trailer, him playing the preteen girl...
But it's even like a different...
Oh, no, I know. It's not like... it's not the same thing, but I would like to see what he could do. Yeah. Then my only other thought with that would be David Cross because of his disgusting Mrs. Featherbottom routine. Yeah. So...
I'd like to see a Mrs. Featherbottom movie.
Yeah.
But...
No, this movie, I mean, it ages because it's a 1993 film. But at the same time, I had a lot of fun watching it.
There's no offensively bad... movie making in this.
It's just the filmmaking itself is pretty solid. It's Chris Columbus comedy at his best, doing a heartwarming family movie,
which it doesn't have much depth. It's just surface level. It's fine too.
It's a good fun story to watch. Yeah.
I thought you might be able to help me with the case. Any idea where I could find him?
You police plan on taking me in?
I would much prefer that to the alternative.
So yeah, we watched Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, the long-awaited sequel to, 1984?
1982.
1982's Blade Runner, which was directed by Ridley Scott.
Yeah, the long-awaited, long-running sequel to a long-running original film.
Yeah. Yeah, so the original,
there's like 20 cuts of the original film.
And it wasn't like a popular movie when it came out. It kind of got cult classic, and it's much more popular today than it was on its release.
I think it's because... I mean, there's the cult aspect, like you said, and that kicked in pretty fast with it. I mean, it kind of established the look of cyberpunk, and then also it kind of established like a whole generation of filmmakers afterwards who saw that and were like, that is filmmaking. I mean, so much of it has been taken into other films now. It's crazy.
I mean, the original Blade Runner, in my eyes, is some of the best storytelling and world building in any film. There's no unnecessary exposition. They just put you in the world and they show you.
The director's cut, yes.
I'm speaking from the final cut. Not even the director's cut, the final cut.
I don't know if I've seen the final cut.
The final cut is the only... Yeah, it's the only one that Ridley Scott says is his cut. Even the director's cut wasn't his, which is funny because he was the director. But the final cut does an amazing... Yeah, I guess the original had the narration.
So it's a lot of wasted exposition.
Yeah. But the final cut is one of the ultimate movies.
Yeah.
So this version, I think one of the things they wanted to do for 2049, and I'll just go ahead and say again, we're going to spoil.
Here be spoilers.
There it is. They're trying to make... Denis Villeneuve's making a movie that can stand alone and is a follow-up to Blade Runner, which is a tricky line.
Yeah.
Because Blade Runner is a very nuanced film, too. And this is a very nuanced film.
Yeah.
But I think they did a good job. It's hard for me to look at it from the perspective of someone who doesn't know Blade Runner.
Yeah.
But I think they did a good job with the world. There's a little more exposition at the start, but not anything like unnecessary, I didn't feel.
Yeah.
I'll just say right off the bat, it's probably my favorite movie of the year. It's slow.
It's up there.
It's not a movie that everyone's going to like. I get that, but it's exactly what I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And after watching like Zoolander 2 or like the second Joe Dirt, like all these like sequels that come decades after the original that fail so mightily.
I love that you picked like two of the worst movies.
Well, those are the ones I can think. There was another one we watched recently that I can't remember, like a sequel that came well after.
Yeah. For like a series film, we mentioned Jurassic World earlier.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a good comparison where it just kind of replicates the same beats instead of expanding. Yeah. It expands a tiny bit, but not enough.
Yeah.
This takes a story that is wonderful and then pushes further out and expands at the same time. So you get like a multi-directional kind of push on it. And it feels like Blade Runner, but it feels like its own movie as well, which is very tricky. It's a good comparison for that in a good way is Aliens, the sequel to Alien, a Ridley Scott film. Is its own film. It's standalone. It's completely James Cameron, but it's also completely a sequel to this horror film.
Yeah, the Alien universe.
So it takes a thriller horror film, turns it to an action horror film, and upholds the standard kind of. Pushes further, adds the director's charm, but also replicates the original intention. And this one, I think, did that wonderfully as well. So
and the reason Blade Runner is so good is because when did the first Blade Runner? 2018 or something? Like what was which is crazy. Yeah. That we're like right there.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually a win for society that we're not where Blade Runner was. Yeah, so
for sure.
We don't get many wins these days, but we'll take it.
What I like is that they don't retcon that.
No.
The movie picks up in 2049, but it references everything pretty much from 2019 and 2020 is like the big events it references, which is shortly after the original film, which is obviously not the time period that we will be in come 2049, most likely.
Hopefully.
But
Elon Musk could get us there.
Yeah. But no, it just, I respect that it didn't try to change any of that. It just ran with it.
The world is amazing, though.
Yeah.
And they mention things and never touch on them again that still get your mind racing. Like both movies talk about, off-world is this great society. The replicants are slave labor off-world. You never go off-world.
I got so excited because they made it seem like they were going to take one of the major characters off-world. Yeah. And they didn't. And what follows after that is one of the most tense scenes I've seen in a film like ever. Yeah. And I mean, if you know Villeneuve, you know he can do some of the most tense action.
For sure.
In modern directors for sure, but he pushes it even higher where I think I was in a nice leather reclining chair, but I was pressing my body as hard as I could into it, like flinching.
I was like out of breath the whole time watching. So, and what's really good, the trailers made it seem like this was going to be a more action-y movie, which was disappointing for myself and probably a lot of Blade Runner fans because the original is not an action movie. But this one's not either, and that's good. The trailers were that way. But it's still like the detective movie.
The trailers showed a bit of action, but honestly, none of it made sense now that I've seen the movie. They just picked snippets here and there.
And they even picked snippets from like the climax of the movie, but it's still, there's no, like the story is so, it's its own thing. And I'm so glad, like in this age, somehow not being spoiled on it. Because there are, what'd you say?
Did you hear about the studio's like push to not spoil people?
No, I didn't.
Was it Sony? Sony put out like a 5 bulletin sheet after a bunch of critics watched the movie saying, please talk about your like initial reactions, but please don't spoil these 5 points in the story.
Cool.
Do your best to not mention it. Don't put it in headlines, like which a lot of critics were pissed about actually. And that's one of the reasons they kept one of the reasons they wanted the gag to run to the last second, the gag order on the film is because they want to keep a lot of the story preserved. And we won't go into that too much, just in case you are listening for some reason.
It's ironic even though we said there's spoilers. Well, it's after the release.
But
the plot delivers really well.
Yeah.
It meanders a little bit towards the start, but I was fine with it because I love the world. I wanted to be in that world.
Yeah.
But when the gears get moving, there's a twist towards the end that it's not even a big twist.
No,
but it still knocked me on my ass.
It's funny because the first act, they just kind of reestablish the world. So like you said, you meander, you meet all sorts of different situations, characters.
You find out right away that Gosling plays a replicant.
Within 2 minutes.
Yeah, you see, and I didn't know that from the trailers or anything. So
I figured he would be, but I figured that would be the reveal. So
well, there was always rumors, I remember, about Deckard being a replicant,
which they establish he's not.
And I think Ridley Scott's like on record multiple times saying he's not. But and I think the only reason people thought that is because there's like one scene in Blade Runner where like the light hits right and it looks like his eyes are replicant eyes.
And I've always liked it being an open-ended question where like, could he be one? Because I think that's more interesting than he is one. And this movie actually sticks to open-ended questions as well. But before I get to that, I want to say, with the twist thing you mentioned, what's cool is, they set up all these open plot lines and then they dip into he is a replicant. Then from there, they push to a couple different levels where you begin to suspect there's more to his story than meets the eye. And at the same time,
push you that way.
They push you that way on purpose because it ties back to the reveal, which I won't say just because I think it's too good.
The best part of the reveal too is you have all the information as the viewer.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, and
all of it's there,
and then then they like reveal it. And it's still shocking, but then you're like, oh shit, exactly.
It's character amazing. Reveal instead of like a plot twisty reveal. So it adds a lot to it.
And I always hate those movies that have the twist where there's no fucking way to see that it's coming. Yeah. It's just, oh, okay, now that... Yeah. Like in Contact, that my big problem was the second structure being there. There's no way to know that that's going to be there. It's really my only problem with Contact. But that's just like an example of that kind of twist. This one is so satisfying. Yeah, I loved it.
My only complaints with the movie I actually like at the same time, because it's kind of what the original does too, which is there's two plot threads that I mentioned. You know, they have open-ended plots with this, which very few movies can do successfully. But when you do it, it leaves the world feeling real.
Yeah, and it leaves you thinking and questioning.
And so my two open-ended plots, my two complaints are about the open-ended plots that I felt could have been explored and finished, but I actually kind of like that they aren't, which is the replicant uprising that is mentioned. Yep. And then also, what's his name? Lawrence? Is that the character's name? Or Wallace might be. I think it's Wallace. Yeah,
Jared Leto's character.
Yeah. So like he still exists within this film as like this antagonist who plays through the whole time. He's kind of your guy pulling the strings. Yeah. He doesn't get like a what's coming to him moment.
What's in the? Who is it in the first one? Tyrell. He's the Tyrell of this one.
Yeah, basically. And he's creepy and he's weird.
He's awesome.
He's a great villain. He does a great performance.
It's funny because this reminded me that Jared Leto's just a good actor. Yeah. After all this weird Suicide Squad shit,
once you get rid of the Jared Leto bullshit, he's fine.
He's great. Yeah. He only has 3 scenes in this movie, but they're memorable.
Yeah. So I wanted to see something where the film makes you want to see the uprising. Yeah. And to see him get what's coming to him never happens.
It's like a classic action movie is going to have that last standoff.
Yeah.
Like Conan has that last moment where Conan goes back and chops Angel Jones' head off.
This doesn't have that.
No.
But it works fine.
It works
fine,
but at the same time, for a few reasons,
I want it. But it leaves me wanting more from the world, which I think is a good
more
choice.
From the world. And I bet you we're going to get another.
Yeah. If it's...
I don't know if I want another, which is kind of funny. Because I love this one so much. It's like Denis Villeneuve does amazing work. Yeah. I am all in on anything he does now. Like Dune, fuck yeah, man. Make a Dune movie. You're going to do really good. Every movie I've seen of his, I love. Enemy is the only one I'm iffy on, but everything he touches is really good. And the fact that he took one of my favorite films, modernized it while still honoring the original, making a wonderful original story. The performances in this movie across the board are great. This is the most inspired I've seen Harrison Ford in decades.
Yeah, this is the first time he's like showed up with his acting talent in decades.
It's like in Star Wars, Force Awakens, sure he's in it, but
and he's emotionally good.
He's emotionally fine, but there's no other level of Harrison Ford there. In this though, it's a more emotional movie and stuff, and he's a much more powerful character. One thing I've always loved about Blade Runner, and 2049 doesn't touch on it much, but having seen the original, it makes me do this, but you're always paying attention to the actors' like eyes and stuff, because in the first one, eyes are a big plot point, basically. This one, it barely is, but I was still paying attention to Gosling and Harrison Ford and everybody's eyes and their emotions and stuff, and they all do a wonderful job.
I really enjoyed the interactions between Joe, Ryan Gosling's character, and Joy, Anna de Armas, I believe is the actress. De Armas is the actress. This like AI girlfriend he has.
One of the coolest things I've seen in a movie is the effects and stuff they did with her.
Oh yeah,
go ahead and continue the point. But
so I had never I've never seen her in anything before. So
she was in War Dogs and a movie called, I believe, Knock Knock, which is like a horror movie with Keanu Reeves. But this is easily her biggest.
Yeah, and she's great in it. She does a really good job. She plays like this sentimental, like loving AI who's
like
there.
The AI's in her, basically,
and it's just meant to basically like reassure whoever has it, and they have like an actual romance with each other, and it makes you question the whole time. Like, well, it doesn't even make you question the whole time; it makes you question at the end: was she real in that sense? Did they actually have a romance? Can these can an AI and a replicant human have a romance? Like, it's just this whole weird bit that they add on that just added like a ton of depth for me.
Yeah, and the character's so cool because she's an AI, but she has like a physical presence.
Yeah.
But the lighting and I mean, the Blade Runner world's full of the neon light and lens flare, all the beautiful stuff. But she's moving through things and you can barely see through her at points. Yeah. And like a light will shine through and the rain will hit funny. It was I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Cool. And then the scene where you see her advertisement where she's a giant pink woman. It's actually like a big screen they actually used, and they edited it to make it look like it's just floating in the air. But that's like actual light cast on Gosling, awesome. And it's good filmmaking. I really liked her. And then my only other actual complaint is I wanted more Mackenzie Davis because I really am a fan of hers. And I liked her character a lot, and I want to see a little bit more with that character.
And that group at the end that she's a part of, I want more of that.
Yeah.
And those seeds, that and Wallace like still being out there, those are reasons I think we're going to get another. Yeah. It'll depend on how it does at the box office this weekend.
And then just where Decker ends also makes you think there'll be more.
Maybe. So, I could see them
at least
closing that off maybe, but
where that needs... You want to know that they're safe now.
Yeah,
for sure. Is that character actually, where like her condition, is that real or is that just part of the safety precautions?
Yeah,
that's what I wonder. So more of that, even if it's just like a subplot within another film, could be interesting. Yeah.
I want to talk more details about the plot so bad, but I do want, if you're one of our listeners still listening and you haven't seen this and for some reason you're still listening, please go see Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Because it's really fucking good.
I'll give it
if you haven't seen the original, I still recommend it. Yeah. I also say see the original because the original is great.
Yeah.
They're similar movies in that they're very like detective based and they're not action films.
It's what they need to do with a Batman movie, make it an actual mystery that he needs to solve.
Love it. That's what I was hoping the Ben Affleck one would have, like a detective Batman.
Yeah.
Or I was hoping after The Dark Knight Rises when in theory Joseph Gordon-Levitt was going to become the Batman or Nightwing or whatever. Since they'd already established him as like a beat cop, that they'd make a detective Batman movie with him. I thought that would have been really cool. Yeah. This is the closest we'll probably get to it. Another thing I love, the visuals. It's Roger Deakins doing the cinematography. Splendid. Wonderful. I hope he gets an Oscar for it.
Yeah.
But it also still honors the first one. Yeah. They don't riff too much on what the original did, but it has its own vision. This leaves LA quite a bit. The first one doesn't at all.
What's cool is beating down Jurassic World again. On that, they put the orange teal gradient.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's very much like, digitally edited to have this certain like cinematic look to it, which to me just cheapens it when you do the blue, the teal orange too much. This doesn't do that. This preserves like a nice look to it. I honestly couldn't tell if it was film or digital, which I usually make a comment if it is, which is good. Yeah. If you neutrally like just see it. Yeah. And just notice the film itself instead of like
if you can tell
the technical aspects. Like, okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The more you don't see in that sense, the better. So it's just really, really good filmmaking.
One of the best quotes from Roger Deakins, because I feel like cinematography's gotten to a point where it's about flashy scenes, like those long one takes and everything. Roger Deakins has a quote where he says, cinematography is good when you don't notice it. And this movie like really embraces that. There's not these weird scenes. Like sometimes there's really artistic framing that tries to build certain visions and stuff, but you notice those kinds of things. This movie's subtle in that way. It's just filmed beautifully, but it never gets in the way of anything.
It's one thing I never cared for with movies like Fight Club, is when they do the intense zoom in, which I feel like was an early aughts kind of filmmaking technique. Yeah. Which no beef with Fincher, like that's fine. But at the time that was cutting edge, like zoom into the microbes on a gun, then zoom back out.
Yeah.
When you do that, it distracts.
The same thing.
Yeah. So
it becomes a thing of the movie rather than just the story working itself.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's great is Hans Zimmer does the music here, but it is so good and it sounds just like the original.
Yeah.
And a lot of times Hans Zimmer, he's a very good composer, but Hans Zimmer music sounds like Hans Zimmer music, if that makes sense.
No,
Here it doesn't sound like Hans Zimmer music. It just sounds like Blade Runner music, and it's fucking amazing. I love it.
They did a good job.
It's such a good movie. I give it an A+.
But Batista,
he's great.
He's great, yeah.
And he's only in one scene, but it's so memorable.
It's a tone setting scene too.
It's a really good scene.
When he put on those tiny glasses, I was just like, fuck yeah.
When he's just boiling garlic for the whole movie, it's just like, hell yeah.
Farming worms, boiling garlic. Like, it's a perfect scene for him, and he was great in it. So I was
reading an article the other day about him, and it's just like, he should be a character actor, but he has the body of Donkey Kong, so he like won't be.
Yeah.
But like here, it's a character actor role, and he's incredible.
Yeah.
He's so good.
And I know he takes acting very serious, actually. He has notoriously trained with like talented acting teachers just for Guardians of the Galaxy, just because he wants to be good for it.
He's good in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
This role is it's a career maker for him. It takes him from being like a novelty, like he's a wrestler or something, right? I don't know, UFC. I don't remember what he did before he started acting. And this role versus the Drax role is like this will make your acting career.
It's like 2 letter grades above.
Yeah, for sure. Because like he's good as Drax, but it's a fun comedic ensemble role.
Which if you could do comedy,
that's fine. Yeah. But this is the kind you put on your reel. You know?
This is the top spot of your resume, basically. Yeah. So.
God, I love this movie, man. It was so good.
Final verdict,
so happy.
Go see it immediately.
Yeah, A+. If you haven't seen Blade Runner, still see Blade Runner 2049, but if you can squeeze in the original first, do it. And watch the final cut.
Yeah.
It's really good. Max, where can the good people find us?
You can find us testing each other's makeup to make sure we look like women.
Yeah.
Or you can just go to TheCriticalBreakdown.com. We're on Facebook and Twitter. We're all over the place. We got everything. My famous line. You can find me talking to my holographic girlfriend. Or you can find me on Twitter at Max Rivera Film.
Yeah. You can find me trying to date Sally Fields. And just really, I just enjoy her kids.
Loving her kids.
Yeah. Or you can find me at breakdown_Scott on Instagram. Leave us a rating and a review on iTunes or Google Play or whatever, wherever you're finding us, leave us a review.
Yeah.
And
we'll accept all of them.
Yeah, we accept them all except for bad ones.
Yeah. So just 5 stars.
Just 5. 4 if you want. If you don't like our podcast at all, give us a 4-star review and tell us
5
why.
if you're nasty.
5 if you're nasty.
Jason Brown did our music.
New daddy Josh Rivera did our art.
Old daddy Wally is the podcast dog.
And we're the podcast replicants. Next week on The Critical Breakdown,
we're headed to Gotham City to watch Batman.
Rated 71% on Rotten Tomatoes.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
And we are wearing hockey pads.